Alright, what's up guys? In today's video we're covering what is the best long range weapon to use right now after all of the nerfs in Warzone. In the most recent update, the FAR and the Krig were nerfed again. The QBZ was nerfed. The AK was actually buffed. So the long range meta has changed significantly. In today's video we're going to take a look at the top 10 long range weapons which I think are the best to use right now. We're going to compare all 10 of those weapons head to head in range, velocity, time to kill, the new and improved or worsened recoil of majority of these weapons. And obviously, like I said, compare them each head to head to determine what is the best long range weapon you should be using right now in Warzone. If you guys do enjoy the video in any way, it does help you out, please leave a like and a comment down below. And if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys do hit the subscribe button if you want to see more in-depth content like this. The first thing's obviously going to be the best class setup for each gun. You guys should already know every single gun in Cold War or Modern Warfare is going to have the same class setup: Axial or VOK, 60 round mag, Field Agent or Commando, the longest long barrel with Agency or Mono. What I want to take a look at first is going to be the new and changed recoil, because that's going to affect these guns the most, because the Krig was massively nerfed in the recoil category. Alright, so what you guys will see on the screen, we have the recoil of all 10 weapons names on the very bottom. The one outlier you guys will see is the fourth weapon from the right, which is the Krig. The Krig recoil kicked off the screen, which previously it had about the same amount of vertical recoil as the M13. It's now about 3 to 4 times more vertical. You can see the difference in the shots. This is with 45 rounds for every single gun. The difference between the bullets, there's pretty big gaps in them. So recoil wise, obviously vertical is the easiest to control, but if you compare the Krig to like the GFUEL, which are similar in recoil as far as how much they pull left to right, and then you guys can see the GFUEL is significantly better than that of the Krig. And the one outlier you'll see recoil wise is that of the Kilo on the far left. Recoil wise, this is, like I said, tested with 45 bullets from the exact same spot, all 10 guns. The Kilo has no recoil. That to me is instantly going to give it the most brownie points possible to immediately put it back into contention for the best long range weapon. Then the two guns you will see on the far right, we have the Stoner, the XM4. Both have pretty good recoil patterns. Vertical recoil about equal to that of the GFUEL, equal to that of the M4, but they're a lot straighter, which in my opinion is easier to control. So recoil wise, I think the GFUEL and Stoner are going to get brownie points, with the Kilo clearly being a king. M4 and 13 are okay, but they're kind of a little bit harder to control, not as straight as some of these other weapons. Accuracy wise, not the best. And then the C58 kicked off the screen completely. Accuracy wise, in my opinion, is the worst for the C58. The one outlier though, you'll see the AK. The first couple of shots do kind of kick, but I believe before the gun went up to the right and then up again, now it slightly curves, which improved the recoil to pull it a little bit straighter instead of like a hard right and then an up, which improved the recoil. So the AK definitely has a lot better recoil now. It does have a lot of vertical recoil, but in my opinion it's going to be best for the mid-range. So AK recoil is definitely okay. So the next thing I want to take a look at is going to be the overall time to kill of all these 10 weapons, because like I said, the FAR was nerfed, the Krig was nerfed, and we're going to kind of compare where they rank, because now we're including the AK, which is obviously incredible in time to kill. So on the screen you guys will see this is the chart, which kind of helps you to show where these guns kind of rank. You guys can see the colors on the top of the screen. The easiest way for me to show this to you guys is going to be kind of breaking them all down in this chart, which is obviously color coordinated. The biggest factor, kind of just avoiding all the numbers and breaking it down for you guys. The one outlier you will see is the AK is at the top with the Kilo and the Stoner. So TTK wise, those are the three best weapons as far as up to 50 meters. The Kilo is either second fastest or the fastest. And then again with the Stoner, anywhere up to from 40 to 60, which is kind of your mid-range, is the second fastest killing or the fastest killing. You can see anywhere beyond that max range, even where it drops off again, is the second fastest killing gun. So TTKY, Stoner, Kilo, AK, all incredible. We include the accuracy of the Kilo. In my opinion, it's definitely now up there in the meta. The one gun right there on the outside of the bubble would obviously be the Grau. Has good range, good accuracy. The one factor, headshots, we'll take a look in a second, but with one headshot improves that TTK to be in the top of the meta in the long range, which helps it a lot. Then another gun also right there on the bubble, it is the M4 and the XM4. So in my opinion, the top like 6 guns, Kilo, Stoner, AK, 100% top 3, definitely absolutely shred TTK wise. Then we have the Grau, M4, XM4. The outliers are obviously going to be the C58, which is not as fast and has very low range, which they nerfed recently. You guys can see is on the very bottom, pretty much in all the categories besides beyond 50 meters. Then the Farah. The Farah was most recently nerfed. So you guys can see in its base range is either the slowest before the Krig or average, and then beyond 40 meters where it drops off slowest killing gun anywhere from 40 to 50 meters, which is your mid-range. So those are the two guns that aren't the best. And then obviously the Krig nerfed massive in the ground now to 3 damage profiles, and then obviously in the space range, absolutely not even close to competitive with these guns. These guns are all extremely competitive. The C58, the Stoner, the Grau are about equal, almost identical time to kill. Then the XM4, M4, M13, and Farah also 1 frame difference in TTK. So the meta right now is like every gun is in line with each other, and that is in my opinion where the meta is best. We have the outliers like the Stoner, which have godly range and a good TTK. You have the AK, which has an incredible TTK, which are, with this new meta of all these guns being equal, those two guns will slightly take a rise in the meta. As you guys know, I'm an LMG user. I actually have the Stoner Gold because I used it before everyone else did. I love the gun. The big and only negative with that Stoner is the open bolt delay. So the next factor we're going to take a look at, which is going to improve those time to kills and kind of factor them out to be improved or not improved at all, would be the headshot numbers. The two guns that absolutely crush it in the headshot category, let me pull it up real quick on the screen, or there's 3 guns actually. So the Krig, XM4, and the M13 in either their base or second range require 1 headshot only. So the Krig might be the slowest killing gun, but anywhere up to like 83 meters with 1 headshot, your TTK can drop back down to really in the meta. Then with that M13, it's one of the slowest killing guns, but with 1 headshot takes it from bottom tier to immediately top tier with 1 headshot, which is incredible. You guys can see almost all the guns are 2 and 2, which those are the 3 outliers with the headshots. Then once again with the XM4, similar to the M13, is average, but with 1 headshot jumps immediately into the top tier of the meta, which kind of helps that TTK. So headshot wise, Krig, XM4, I wouldn't even say the Krig, even the XM4 and the M13 are excellent. And like I said, with that Grau, you guys can see is 1 headshot at far, which helps it. And then headshot wise in the negative category, the only real gun would be the Far, which requires 3 headshots at range, which is why I don't think it's that good of a weapon anymore. And then the C58 does require 1 headshot at range also, which helps it. So there's a lot of guns that require 1 headshot, which are going to lower them. The guns improved best by this headshot effectiveness, I would have the C58, the Grau, the M13, the XM4, and that's it. The Krig might require 1 headshot, but it's one of the slowest killing guns already. So even with that 1 headshot, just takes it back to average. So good headshot effectiveness, yes, it's excellent because it requires 1 and 1, but not the best. You're definitely going to need more than a couple of headshots to lower the time to kill. And you guys can see in the max range requires 3 to take it down from that 920 back to the 828. So TTK wise, just not effectiveness. So the next thing we're going to take a look at is going to be the overall mobility stats. So you guys will be able to see all of the guns on the screen. We have the movement, ADS, reload, and we have the ammo and velocity included just to kind of help include it in the numbers. Obviously movement speed for modern warfare weapons, they're terrible. Stoner being an LMG is average. The FAR is average also because it's the only AR that's below 95%. The rest of these ARs are equal at 95 or 96. Then ADS speed. The M13 was really good, which is definitely a good factor for it. Kilo, M4, Grau, all average. The Stoner is 483 with the 4X. I just tested this about 10 minutes ago. Almost 500 milliseconds ADS. So this is a really good long range weapon, with that slow ADS, then when you factor in that open bolt delay, your ADS is not going to be the best. You can improve that with the 3X, which takes it down to 450, which is okay. The Krig is obviously slow, the FAR is slow in ADS. Then we have the AK and the C58 both here. This is 45 rounds is the first two, and then if you add the 60 round, only 2 frames slower, which 400 and 417 is still average. And then the XM4 at 367 is the fastest, so I truly believe these guns have such high damage that the C58 and the AK both should run the 45 round mag, because if you're trying to build these guns to be better than something else, by improving that ADS, it's going to help you more in the mid-range, which is kind of where these two guns rank. So reload, pretty much every gun is excellent. You guys can see all of them in green except for the Krig, the FAR, and the C58. And obviously the Stoner being an LMG is absolutely terrible. But 4.2 for an LMG is actually pretty good. I think in the only gun better is the Bruin. So it has a pretty fast reload. Then when you take a look at their ammo, like I said, this is with the 45 round mag for both these guns. If you want to switch, they could get 55 or 60. And then the Stoner with 75 is obviously excellent. And then your overall velocity, the only real outliers here would be the Krig FAR and C58, which are the FAR, C58, the AK, and the XM4, in my opinion, are better mid-range, not really long range, so this velocity won't have that big of a factor on it, in my opinion. The Stoner at 1200 is pretty good. You can see out of all the Cold War weapons is actually excellent, which is definitely going to give it a lot more brownie points. Has good mobility as far as the movement, which is not that slow. Has the most ammo and has the best velocity of all the Cold War guns, which is definitely going to give it a lot more brownie points in my opinion. So what we're going to take a look at is going to be the damage per mag. This is for long range weapons. You're fighting or killing people. You're able to down multiple enemies using certain weapons. The only real outlier in the close range would be the M13 at 1440. If you compare it to all these other guns, it's either 180 or 240 damage less, which is almost a full down of an enemy. So the big negative, in my opinion, this is a massive negative. Your damage per mag is very, very low. The Mac 10 does have a low damage per mag also, but it's very popular. I just think this kind of takes it down to the very bottom. The one outlier here for me, obviously C58 and the AK can go up to 60 or 55, so our damage per mag is excellent. Obviously the Stoner is obviously excellent as well, because it has 75 rounds, and you can't get any less. The one thing is the XM4. It's only 60 damage higher here and 120 damage higher here, but it's got a high damage. Also, like I said, with one headshot it lowers it, so the damage here you guys can see is excellent for that of the XM4 in the close range, which helps it in my opinion. And then at the far distance, the only outliers will be the Modern Warfare guns. 1200 damage here for the M13 is very low. And then you guys see 1380, 1380, 1440, even dropping down to 1080 with that kilo is absolutely atrocious. So the only real outliers here, damage per mag, would be the Modern Warfare weapons at long range, which aren't going to be the best, which in my opinion, this might factor into a little bit on why people weren't really using them. But now in the new meta, I do think these guns are 100% in the top tiers. So I think I pretty much covered everything. I have the headshots, TTK, mobility, damage per mag, everything covered. So what we're going to take a look at next is going to be breaking down all of these guns to kind of see which guns I rank number one. I apologize if I look over here to the screen a little bit. I have all my stuff that I'm reading. So we basically go back through, we look at TTK, range, velocity, accuracy, recoil, mobility. I think this Stoner is currently number one. I would definitely recommend this weapon as the best weapon to use right now, just because it shreds with the best range, with a good recoil, has the most ammo, and then with the factor of the Krig Nerf, the FAR Nerf, they have damage multipliers, so you get less damage in arms and limbs. This gun has the same damage everywhere, so that TTK will never ever drop, unlike with other guns. So that, in my opinion, is what makes it excellent. It does everything you need in a long range weapon. The one personal thing I would recommend most, either run the axial arms 3 times, or if you're looking for the mid-range weapon, the 2X. It's just going to be the best way to improve the ADS, and you already have high ammo. The 4X, in my opinion, is going to lower your vertical recoil a lot over the 3X, but the 3X is going to improve your ADS to be average or below average versus absolutely atrocious. So that would be the best class setup. Probably a surprise. The Stoner I think have ranked better than every single weapon. At number 2, I do have the AK. This is more for mid-range though. I have the Stoner number 1 for best long range. We're obviously looking at the best ranged weapons. I think this is better in the mid-range. If you're a very aggressive player, AK OTS 9, you will never lose a gunfight. If you're getting in vehicles, pushing people, playing in that 50-meter range, the AK is going to be your new go-to weapon. I know the Krig was what everyone's using before. In my opinion, this is going to be the best weapon to use moving forward. It has pretty good range at 38 meters, which is okay. TTK wise, nothing will compete with it. So I do think this is the best mid-range rifle. And it's a very, very big surprise to me. I've always never even had this gun included. So to rank it second is obviously a big surprise to me, probably a surprise to you. But like I said, mid-range, this is definitely the best mid-range weapon. As far as for the numbers, same thing as the Stoner, has the same damage everywhere. So those TTKs at 600 and 700, you'll never not get those. Only way you can improve them is with headshots. So there's no negatives about the damage. Has obviously a high damage, okay recoil, okay accuracy, but TTK wise nothing competes with it. The only negative is the accuracy at the max range. If you're shooting anywhere beyond 50 meters, probably not going to be the most easy weapon to use. But for the mid-range is definitely easily number 2. At number 3 we have the Trapgod. You guys know I fucking love this gun. Excuse my language, sorry, but I love this gun. I have 50,000 kills with this gun in multiplayer. If it was me personally, if you're using this gun, either tac laser or VOK, I personally think tac laser would improve you to get the best class setup possible, because this improves your aim walking steadiness, which helps your player tracking, your aim stability, which helps your recoil, and your ADS speed, which helps your mobility to improve to be probably the fastest ADSing long range rifle. That's what that class setup, the class setup that I was showcasing was with the VOK. So you want the fastest ADS, fastest everything. Tac laser, grout, easy top 3 in my opinion with that long range. One headshot needed beyond 50 meters. Your TTK is going to go from bottom tier to like third, I think, which is excellent. Only thing killing faster with the AK and the Stoner. So I have this at number 3. The only negative that you could give it would be the movement speed, because it's a Cold War, not a Cold War, it's a motto for a gun. Movement speed will be slow. That's it. I don't see any weaknesses in my opinion with this weapon, other than it's just not the fastest killing. But nerfing all the other guns not be the fastest killing. This gun now has taken a rise into the top. So easy number 3 would be my baby boy, the Grau. Number 4, we do have the XM4 ranked number 4. So the obviously number 1 factor is mobility, movement speed, reload, ADS. This gun's incredible. Once again, similar to the AK, either sniper support or mid-range, but I think after the nerf of the FAR and the Krig, this could still be used at the long range, but probably more mid to long range. Obviously, the biggest factor for it, headshot effectiveness and mobility. The headshot effectiveness, needing one headshot up close, one headshot at far. This gun will shred. TTK wise, might not be the fastest, it's completely average, but with only needing one headshot, this gun will shred if you can hit that headshot. They've improved the recoil a bunch of times to make it better. And obviously, like I said, mobility is incredible. The only negative I had on here was the range. It has 33 meters of range, but even that in his second TTK is still almost as fast as the Krig's base. So it's a good gun. I would once again rank it as the second best mid-range or the best mid to long range weapon. It's excellent. And easily rounding out 5th, we do have the Kilo. I do think this is back into the meta. In my opinion, these are the 5 best weapons. I do think I would take the Kilo, the Grau, the XM4, or the AK over any of the other 5 weapons. I would use all those over the C58. We have the FAR, M4, M13, and Krig. I would take all 5 of these guns over those 5 weapons. I think these are easily the top 5. You guys know what it is with the Kilo. It obviously was the meta for how many months. I don't have to go in depth on it. You guys already know what it does. Good range, lowest recoil by far. This gun has no recoil with excellent range compared to all the nerfs they've been doing recoil wise. This gun has none now compared to those guns. So easy top 5. The one only negative, obviously, third damage profile at like 87 meters, which is way out there. But that's a huge negative, but still in my top 5. Obviously, as you guys know, rounded it out. I had the FAR at 6 just because it has good recoil in my opinion. It has good TTKs, and then in the base range requires one headshot, which with one headshot up close you can get the fastest killing weapon, which is once again good for the mid range. At 7 we have the C58. Has a lot of high recoil, good weapon for high damage, and they nerfed the velocity, which doesn't help this gun even more at range. So high recoil with low velocity, not going to be the best long range weapon at all. The next gun after that would be the M4. I know this is still a popular weapon. It's the M4 from Modern Warfare. Everyone loves this gun. Low mobility, but TTK wise, when they did that massive overhaul, this gun kind of slipped under the radar. It's very good at the long range now, which I think they buffed in the last update to improve the damage profile. So TTK wise, that range is excellent, but the recoil is not that good, and the ADS mobility is also not that good. So that's at number 8. Krig is, as surprisingly, ranked number 9. TTK wise, they nerfed it, added that third range, which is one of 2 guns that have it, which in my opinion that tanks it hard. Not only do they add a third range, they also lowered the base range to be the worst out of every gun. It does have good headshot effectiveness 1 in 1 to bring it back to average, which is kind of a positive, I guess, to make it back to average, but it will go back to average of 1 headshot. But if you don't get a headshot, it's the worst killing gun out of all these guns, which is why I have ranked number 9. I would personally probably use it over the M13 just because it's a Cold War gun for mobility. But M13, wherever I have it, should be right here. M13 is ranked 10th. There's a lot of players out there that probably like the M13. If you're a Cloakzy fan, Cloakzy loves this gun. I personally would take the Krig over the M13. It's still a good gun. Easily my top 10 over the QBZ. What else do we have out there? QBZ. There's Groza, a lot of other guns, but the QBZ wasn't included because they nerfed the recoil again, and they silently nerfed it last time, which wasn't announced. So the recoil is not the best, but those are easily my 10 most best popular weapons. As a surprise, like I said, Stoner's number 1. That is not a surprise. Anyone who's recently started using it, I think it's probably the Rebirth Island players that are making this popular. Just because you have the people that are respawning, you got 75 rounds just melting them. But AK, XM4, Stoner, and we have Grau Kilo. As far as which one's your favorite weapon, I wouldn't be able to know. This new AK though is a massive surprise to me. Going through all the data, looking at the time to kills, this gun's good with decent range and improved recoil. So if you guys are learning anything new, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel down below. Make sure you guys use code Trapgod on all of your GFUEL purchases. You guys can see the shirt. So hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you.